Hi, welcome. I'm Sophie and this is the Studio SE6. Thank you so much for choosing to practice with me today. So the class I have for you today is a 30-minute Hatha flow class. There will be modifications along the way, so just listening to your body today, and if you need to take those modifications, please do. Props aren't essential for the class, but you might like to have 2 yoga blocks or bricks at the top of your mat just in case you need them along the way. So when you're ready, let's get started. We'll start in a seated position, so however that's comfortable for you, legs crossed or kneeling, sitting on a blanket or a cushion, and just taking the hands to the thighs, let the arms rest heavy with the elbows hanging underneath the shoulders. Lifting through the crown of the head and rooting down through the sit bones, maybe closing the eyes or just gazing towards the floor, and begin to soften and relax the skin and the muscles of the face. And let's start to turn our attention inwards to the breath. And we'll take a few breaths here, just settling into your space and onto your mat. As you inhale, breathing through the nose if you can, and guide the breath down into the belly. Expanding the belly as you breathe in, and softening and releasing the belly as you breathe out. Allowing the breath to flow freely and effortlessly in and out. Breathing solely through the nose if you can. Keeping the shoulders heavy and still the entire time. And with the inhale, finding length and space in the entire body. And using each exhale as an opportunity just to let go of anything you're holding on to. And not only physical tension, but any mental stress too. Letting go of any thoughts that may come into the mind. And allowing yourself this little time to focus on the here and now. Staying in the present by remaining connected to your breath. And on your next exhale, take a deep sigh out through the mouth. Opening the eyes if they're closed. And then let's just come into an all fours position to start. So finding a tabletop position with the wrists and the shoulders stacked, the fingers spread really wide, and the knees directly underneath the hips. Crown of the head reaching forwards, the neck is nice and long, and the tailbone reaches to the back of your mat. Pressing down through straight arms, start to roll from the tailbone, curling through the upper spine. Let the head drop, look towards the belly as we come into cat stretch. On an inhale, tailbone slightly up, roll back through the spine, and open the chest towards the front of your mat. Exhaling, tuck in the tailbone under, rolling through the spine, and just let the weight of the head fall. Gaze towards the belly button. Inhaling, reversing, coming into cow stretch, really opening up the collarbones. And exhaling, rolling under. Last one here. Inhaling, tailbone slightly tips. We're still hugging the belly in, so we're not dumping into the lower back. Keep the arms straight as you pull the chest forwards, almost as if you're trying to reach the chest through the arms. And then come back into a tabletop position. From here, we're going to take our right arm up into the air, coming in to thread the needle. So we reach the arm up, keeping the twist coming from the rib cage, not the hips. And as you exhale, thread the arm through to the left. Reach through the fingertips, the left elbow comes out to the side, and maybe lay the temple, the side of the head, on the mat. Inhaling, pressing up, and again opening up the chest to the right. Exhaling, rolling under. So again, the twist is from the ribs rather than from the hips. Last one, inhaling, reaching up. Exhaling, pulling through. Reach through the fingertips, relax the shoulders back and away from the ears, and then coming back onto all fours. Let's get ready to go to the other side. Inhaling, lift and open the chest towards the left. Exhaling, pulling that left arm through to the right. Inhaling to open and exhaling to close. Breathing nice and easy. Last one here. Inhaling and exhale. Coming back to the center, tuck in the toes under and sit the hips way back towards the heels. Push the front of the mat away from you as you lift the knees and pull the hips to the back of your mat. So we're coming into a downward facing dog, but with very bent knees to begin with. Inhale, pull your weight forwards to a tabletop position. Hover your knees underneath your hips. So floating tabletop. If it's too much, rest the knees down. Exhale, pull the hips up, draw the navel towards the spine, lengthen away to a bent leg, downward facing dog. 2 more times. Inhale, come forwards, crown of the head pulls to the front, wrists and shoulders in line, floating tabletop. And exhale, pick up the hips and take it back to downward facing dog. 1 more here. Inhaling, floating tabletop. Make sure you're lifting the chest up between the shoulder blades. Exhale, take it back. And then maybe starting to pedal through the feet here. Coming up on the ball of one foot and sinking the opposite heel towards your mat. And we'll do 1 more. Each side, nice and slow. Come up onto the balls of both feet. And then we'll walk our hands back towards our feet as we roll onto our heels. Keep the knees bent, coming into Ragdoll. Holding the opposite elbow, let the head hang. Nod the head, yes. Shake the head, no. Allowing the pelvis to fold over the thighs. Keeping your weight even in the balls of the feet and the center of each heel. Let's walk it forwards to a plank position. Slowly walking to the front of your mat. Wrists and shoulders in line, high on the balls of the feet at the back. Lower the knees, pulling the chest forwards and the elbows back. Come to the mat. Tuck your hands underneath for a small wrist stretch here. So hands tuck under anywhere along the rib cage. Shoulders slide back and down. Lightly press into the hands as you come up. Mini cobra here, opening up the chest to the front. And exhale, nose comes down to the mat. Tuck the hands back under, tuck the toes. Let's lift it up to half plank. Take it back to your heels and then lift off your knees to your downward facing dog. Inhale, come into a plank position. Exhale, soften the knees. So my knees are floating, but you can take the knees to the mat if it's too much here. And then I'm going to push back, keep my shins parallel to the mat. You can see the knees aren't touching, but again, if you need to modify, then the knees can touch. We're taking it up now to a downward facing dog. So we're going to move between those 3. So inhale into plank. Exhale, knees soften. Take it back to a floating child's pose. And then lift up. Inhale, come forwards. Lower the knees. Exhale, shift back. Lift the hips, downward facing dog. Last one here. Inhale, plank. Remember, the knees can come to the floor completely. Exhale, sink back. Downward facing dog. And then inhale, come into plank. Exhale, soften the knees, sit back to floating child's pose or knees on the mat, and then spring forward with your right foot. So we're coming to a high lunge. Step to the front of the mat, so the left foot follows, feet parallel. Inhale, press into the feet as you lift up into mountain pose, gaze at the thumbs. Exhale, halfway fold to your shins. Inhale, lengthen out through the spine, and exhale, soften the knees. Fold the pelvis forwards. Step your right leg back behind you as you inhale, lift to crescent lunge. And exhale, step to plank. One inhale here, knees can come to the floor, or the whole body on an exhale comes down to the mat as one solid plank. Inhale into cobra, point your toes away, keep the chest pulling forwards. And then exhale, nose to the mat, tuck the toes. Half plank or full plank, up to you. Stay in this plank position. Soften the knees to the mat or float and take it back to that child's pose. So hover in child's pose or knees down. Exhale, take it up to downward facing dog. Inhale through to plank. Soften the knees. Exhale, child's pose. Spring forwards with your left foot, high lunge position, left foot to left thumb. Then bring that right foot forwards, feet parallel. Inhale, lift, mountain pose. Exhale, down to your shins. Inhale, pull the crown of the head forwards, lengthen out, shoulders back. Exhale, soften the knees and fold. Step the left leg back behind you, lower the knee. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, step back, plank position. Again, lowering the knees, take half plank or the full plank down to the mat. Elbows to the ribs. Inhaling into cobra. And exhaling, tuck the toes, full or half plank. Soften the knees, sit back to your heels. Take it back to downward facing dog. Inhale, coming forwards to plank. Last one. Exhale, soften the knees to the floor or hover. Exhale, floating child's pose. And then we're going to lunge that right foot forwards to the front. So staying in your high lunge position, just make sure your feet are hip distance apart. And we'll press up to warrior one on the ball of the back foot. So crown of the head, base of the spine, stay in line. Knee is over the ankle at the front. A soft bend in the back knee, just so you can get your hip points level to the front. So we're trying not to tip the pelvis forwards here and take anything into the lower back. Length in the lower back, and then a softness in the back knee. Then we can start to think about lengthening away through that back leg as long as the pelvis doesn't move forwards. Take the arms by the ears or hands to heart center. Take one inhale here. With the exhale, soften the back knee. Crown of the head stays in line with the base of the spine. Take an inhale. With the exhale, go a little lower. This is all optional. You can stay high if you prefer. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. See if we can get that shin parallel to the floor. One inhale. One exhale. Rotate to the right. Inhale back to center. And then exhale, we're going to step to chair to the front. Keep your feet together this time, thighs together. Lift the chest, draw the navel in, sink into your heels. Circle the arms all the way around. Take your left hand underneath your left knee, right hand to your hip. Lead with your chest as you lift that left knee up and as close to your body as you can. So you want to keep the heel in towards the body. Pull the toes back, flex the foot. Stay here or release the arms, pressing away. Palms out. We keep lifting that knee, try not to let it drop. Put it up into your chest and into your body. Take the arms up and overhead. Inhale. Exhale. Arrow pose. Take that leg all the way back into a high lunge. Bring the chest just to hover over the front thigh. Left hand comes down underneath the left shoulder. Let's swoop that right arm up by the ear. Rotate the rib cage to the right. Follow your hand so you're looking towards the back of your mat. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Bring the arm all the way back round and step back to downward facing dog. Inhale, transition to plank. Soften the knees to the floor or hover. And exhale, push your weight back to your heels. So we're keeping those knees lifted if we can, shins parallel to the mats. Look forward to the front, spring forwards with your left foot to your left thumb, and coming up into ball of the foot warrior one. Stay here, reaching energetically away from the mat. One inhale, keep the crown of the head floating over the base of the spine. Exhale, just lower that back knee a little more. One inhale, one exhale. Really trying not to lean back or forwards here. Keep that weight in the center. Last time, exhale. Stay where you are, rotate to the left. Inhale back to center. Stay low, circle the arms around, bring the feet together, knees and thighs together. As you exhale, sink into chair. Swoop the arms around, take hold of the back of the right thigh with the right hand. Lift up through the crown of the head and bring that knee into the body as close as you can. Flex the right toes. And we're squeezing that standing glute a little here. And then we'll take the arms away. Keep that knee lifting. Really try not to let it drop. Squeezing in that hip crease area. And then the arms are going to come behind as you step back to arrow pose. Way back onto the ball of the back foot. 2 breaths here. Reach through active fingertips. Take your right hand down underneath your right shoulder. Take a big circle with that left arm. Follow the arm around. Reach the fingertips to the back of your mat. If it's too much for the neck, then just keep your gaze looking forwards and down to your mat. Circle the arm all the way back round, step back, downward facing dog. Take 3 breaths here in your downward facing dog. The arms are long, the fingers are spread. You can bend the knees a little here. Get length through the entire spine first, and then maybe straighten the legs. You can transition onto your knees to tabletop position, or we'll take 3-leg dog, lifting the right leg, pressing out through the heel, keeping your hips and your shoulders square to the front. Bring your right heel in towards your bottom, lift high up onto the ball of the left foot, and then tucking that knee underneath the body as the tailbone curls under, and you slowly roll towards the front, look to the right thumb, and lunge the right foot forwards to the right thumb. From here, coming into standing split. So we're going to keep that back leg straight. The front leg is going to straighten as much as it can. As we press into the fingertips, draw the shoulders away from the ears, dig into the front heel, so the right heel, as we lift up with the back leg and drop the crown of the head down towards the mat. You can always come into more of a tabletop position, have blocks underneath your hands, more of a supported warrior 3 rather than a standing split position. So we're trying to not open up the hip here. Towards the left, you want to try and keep the hips and the shoulders square to the front. Nose points towards the shin, crown of the head towards the mat, shoulders away from the ears. One more breath in. And then as you exhale, let's scoop that leg underneath. Bring the feet and the thighs together, back into chair. Circle the arms around. Once again, take hold of underneath that left knee and bring the left leg up. Flex the toes. Take the arms away. So another option here, making it slightly harder, take eagle arms. So your right arm over your left, make sure that knee's not dropping. Either back-to-back forearms or entwine the palms. Look towards your elbow creases, draw your shoulders around your body. And then we're rounding through the upper spine, pull the knee up and drop the elbow to the knee. And release and step back to arrow pose. So nice long lunge here. Taking the hands down to the floor, either side of the foot, so just underneath the shoulders. So either drawing that back knee directly down to the mat, or we're taking that hovering knee again, so the shin is parallel to the floor. The hips and the shoulders stay square, and we're going to take a floating half split, keeping that back knee lifted if you can. We're rolling off the front toes, bringing the left hip in line with the left knee, so we're not sitting too far back. Square the hips, roll onto the right heel, reach the crown of the head forwards. So again, you can lower that back knee if you need to modify. 2 more breaths here. Using the inhale to find length through the spine, through the neck, and out through the crown of the head. And push forwards through the left ball of the foot, so we come back to a high lunge position. Again, you can always use blocks underneath the hands. We're going to start to straighten the front leg, lift the hips, and take them to the back of the mat, sinking that back heel as far as you can towards the floor. You can always hop in a little here if you prefer, and just take the blade and the heel of the back foot down to the mat, and turn the toes slightly out to the front left corner. So I'm just going to stay on the ball of my foot, but you choose what suits you best. So again, finding that length out through the crown of the head. If you have a nice tabletop position, then maybe you want to walk it forwards with the hands a little more. Think downward facing dog arms. So you're pushing away the front of the mat, and you're bowing the head between the arms. We're going to take 2 more breaths here. Working to find length on the inhale, and to release and let go on the exhale. If the arms are in front, let's walk them back now so that we're all back in a tabletop position. Bend that front knee and step back, downward facing dog. Just adjusting the feet here so they're back to hip distance apart. And remembering you can always take child's pose instead. And let's go with the other side. Taking your left leg into the air, or transition to a 3-leg tabletop if you prefer. Bring the left heel in towards the bottom. Lift high onto the ball of the right foot without shifting the weight forwards. And then let's start to curl the tailbone under as we bring the knee to the belly. Start to curl forwards as we bring the knee to the chest. Look to the to the left thumb and lunge forwards, foot to thumb. Staying in your high lunge, so either coming to your supported tabletop warrior 3, or we're taking half split. So half split, the hands are going to remain either side of the foot. Tabletop, we're going to reach out a bit further so that the arms, the hands, end up underneath the shoulders. So whatever you choose, we're taking the legs straight up behind us. Dropping the crown of the head down for half split, or reaching it out to the front for supported warrior 3. So supported warrior 3, you want your leg about hip height at the back. Standing split, we're pressing up as high as you can through that right heel. Take a few more breaths here, shoulders pulling back down towards the waist. And last breath, inhale. And exhale, swoop that right leg underneath you. Lift the chest, feet together, thighs together, into chair. Swing the arms around. Let's take left hand to hip, right hand underneath the right thigh. Lift up through the crown of the head. Bring the right knee with you. Suck it into the body and flex the foot. Keep it there. Take the arms away. These are all options. Really work to pull that knee up to the chest. Slightly harder. Take eagle arms, left arm over right. Lift the elbows up so you can see the elbow creases. And then curl it forwards, navel to spine, knee to elbow points to knee. It's much harder for me this side. Keep wrapping the shoulders around the body. One more breath in. And exhale, back into arrow pose. Take the hands back down to the floor underneath the shoulders. Again, soften the back knee, shin parallel to the mat, floating, or lower the knee down, working back into half splits. So we can walk the hands back so they're underneath the shoulders, rock onto the left heel, and really reach forwards through the chest. Keep length in the spine. And want to keep those hips in the middle as well. So the tendency is they're going to kind of roll out to one side. Really want to hug them into the center. So your tailbone is pointing directly to the back of your mat rather than to one of the corners. 2 more breaths here. And pushing into the ball of the right foot as we come back to a high lunge position. To come into extended pyramid. So lifting up the hips, straightening the front leg as much as you can, sinking into that back heel. Hands on blocks or underneath the shoulders. And again, remember you can just hop in if you need to and place the blade and the heel down at the back with the foot slightly turned out to the front right corner of your mat. And then from tabletop, we can walk it forwards into more of a downward facing dog looking upper body. What we're trying to avoid is rounding through the spine. So really, if we're not there yet with these long arms, then keep it in tabletop and just work on length through the spine and the front leg. And then eventually you can think about moving those arms forwards. One more breath in. And exhale. Knee comes over ankle, hands come back underneath the shoulders. Take it back to downward facing dog. Pedaling out the feet in your downward facing dog. And then let's lift high onto the balls of both feet. Exhale, sink both heels towards the mat. Keep lifting that chest between the shoulder blades. So try not to just drop the whole chest through. Stay strong in the arms. Inhale up onto the balls of both feet. And then as you exhale, start to come forwards into a plank. Lower the knees. Open up the knees so that they're wider than your hips, and the feet, the big toes are going to stay connected. From here, let's just take it back to child's pose. So choosing whether to have your fists stacked underneath your forehead or taking the arms straight out in front, keeping the arms active, so lifting wrists to armpits, or maybe just softening the elbows down to the mat. So whatever suits you, but we're trying to work those hips back towards the heels. Tucking the tailbone slightly towards the heels. So there's a gentle rounding in the spine from the tailbone through to the crown of the head. And just take a moment here just to let the breath settle back to a nice neutral, natural pace. And once again, breathing if you can, in and out through the nose. And starting to slow the breath down as you focus your inhale into your belly. Beginning to wind the practice down. And just allowing the body to reset. Deepening the breath in and out. Maybe breathing in for 4 counts, expanding the belly. And exhaling as the belly softens and releases. Breathing out for 4. And just take a few more breaths here. next exhale, take a deep sigh out through the mouth. Let's start to walk our hands in and swishing round onto our bottoms. Lengthen the legs out in front, just give them a little shake, a little wiggle in the hips. And then coming to however you're comfortable seated. And let's finish the class with a nice deep breath in, reaching up and overhead, gazing at the thumbs. And take a slow sigh out through the mouth as you bring your hands to heart center. And thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the class. Please leave any comments in the boxes below, and I hope to see you again soon.